All right, class.
Yes.
All right, thank you. All right. Okay, so now this is going to be, it's actually 10 and 11. So I combine these together because they're both really basic. They're pretty basic, and I'm going to go through and do it all together at once. So we're basically combining two lessons. And so if we do everything like we're supposed to be doing, we should be quizzing the last quiz on Thursday of next week. Okay, then it's going to give you, then I'm going to talk about what we need to do for the final for that Friday and the Monday. Then you guys, this is fifth hour, right? Yeah, this is fifth hour. You guys take it on the second day, Wednesday. You guys are going to take it the Wednesday of finals. Okay, so you're going to have your final that day. It is 10% of your overall grade. My advice is get your grade up high as you can, because on a final exam, there is no test corrections. There's no retakes on it. So you have to do what you're doing.
I'm sorry.
All right, so get your grade high as you can. So even if you don't do well in the final, you can still pass. All right, so again, I will announce this. Please make sure all your headphones, your earbuds, all those other things are off and away, and your phone's off and away. Thank you, because I get tired of seeing their phones blinking while I'm trying to teach, and I've asked you to have it off and away. Away. Okay, so hashtag 91. Today's date is 12/6. All right, equation here has two real solutions. How can you see this on a graph of y equals x squared? Draw points on the real number line to represent these two solutions. Now, I'm going to go down to the bottom, and I'm going to start by trying a function. I'm going to draw a chart. So I have x, then I'm going to have my x squared, which is my f of x. So x squared. So it's going to be my values. These are my x's and y's. So start off at -3, -2, -1, 0, 1, 2, 3. Yeah, go ahead. All right. So for this is actually a t-chart to actually fill in your graph, so we could actually have our points. So -3. If I square -3, what do I get? Square it. +9. So -3 times -3 is +9. -2 squared, 4, +4. -1 squared, 1. 0 squared, 1 squared, 2 squared, 3 squared. Now, you notice, whenever I square it, no matter what the x is, it becomes positive, right? Now, let's go up to my graph, and I'm going to start here, here, here. 2 is 4 right there. 2 is 4 right there. 3 is 9 there. So I'm graphing this using dots. So I connect my dots. There we go. All right, let's do the equation now. So x squared, so going back up to the top, it says x squared is equal to 9. So let's go find 9. 9 is right here, isn't it? So I'm going to draw my line right there. So x squared equals 9 when x is +3 and -3. So this is why I have two solutions, because my x squared graph crosses the line at 9 twice. There's my two solutions. So that's the reason why I have two solutions for this. How many real solutions does x squared equals 0 have? right, let's see. Now draw a line at 0. Drew a line at 0. How many times does my x squared cross at 0? Just once. It only touches it once, doesn't it? So if I were to do the math on it, it would be plus or minus 0, wouldn't it? But 0 is neither positive nor negative. So it doesn't have an opposite. So for right here, there is going to be just one solution right there. So there we go. I show that I have one solution. Now my next one is, how many real solutions does x squared equal negative 1 have? So now let's go ahead and draw my line for negative 1. There we go. There's negative 1. Go ahead. Does my x squared line cross negative 1? Does this line right here cross my blue line? Yes? No? No, it doesn't cross it. It doesn't touch it, does it? It doesn't touch negative 1, does it? So that means that it is no real solution. It does not exist. That's why x squared is never equal to oh, wait, let me slide this down a little bit. Why x squared is never equal to negative 1. Because I get no real solution off of that. Or does not exist. That's the reason why. So I draw it. There it is. There's negative 1. And so it doesn't touch it. So it's not going to be there. No solution. Does that make sense? Or hopefully, maybe? Okay, so it's not going to exist in the negatives. Let's flip it over. Draw an arrow starting at 0 that represents 3. Starting at 0 represents 3. Here's 0. And to represent 3, which way do I go? To the right. To the right. Let's go to the right. 1, 2, 3. There we go. Draw an arrow starting at 0 that represents negative 5. Negative 5 is which way? To the left. All right, I'm going to draw that. All right, let's see. This says, this diagram shows an arrow that represents the square root of negative 1. Square root of negative 1, it's right here. So now, this is a different type of graph. It's not just x's and y's now, it's real and imaginary. So this is my real axis, and this is, which is not on there very well, my imaginary. I don't know, can't spell very well. All right, real and imaginary. So I have that all there, and so now it shows that square root of negative 1 is right here. Yes? Okay, good. So if that's square root of negative 1 right there, let's see what we're going to get. So the next one says, draw an arrow starting at 0 that represents 3 square root of negative 1. So 3 square root of negative 1. So is it positive or negative? Positive, right? So positive. So is positive going to go up or down? It's going to go up. So it's going to go up how many? 1, 2, 3. There it is. That's going to be my A. So that is my 3, my positive 3 square root of negative 1. What about this next one? It says negative square root of negative 1. So what number's in front of it? There's a negative, right? But what number is in front of it? There's always one number that's in front of it. Negative 1. Okay, so does negative 1 go up or down? Down. So it's going down how much? Yeah, going down 1. So right here goes down right here. -1, so I call that one B. Yeah, when that thing gets back. Next one says, draw an arrow starting at 0 that represents -5 square root of -1. So, is this going up or down? It's going down, right? It's going down how much? 5. It's going down 5. Let's do that. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So this one's going to be my C. That is my -5 square root of -1. So the up and down is my I's. It's imaginary. Where the right and left are reals. Okay? So it's kind of like a regular graph coordinate, but yeah. What's up? Huh? Out where? Yeah, after, yeah. All right, so right here. What do I do to get A by itself? Square root. So when I square root this, it's going to be A is equal to what? Nope. Plus or minus. Okay, plus or minus square root of 16, right? So it's going to be plus or minus 4. Okay, you cannot forget the plus and minus.
You could put either.
Huh?
Like in the test, can you put either of them?
Yeah, because watch this. What is -4 squared going to be? Yeah, it's positive 16, right? Because it's -4 times -4 is a positive 16. And positive 4 squared, that's 4 times 4.
No, I'm talking like, you like in the answer, either you could put like A equal plus or minus square root of 16 or plus or minus.
Oh, yeah. No, I was getting to this point right here. So if it is a radical that you can reduce, like square root of 16, you should know it's 4. But if it said square root of 20, yeah, that's not. Just leave it. Yeah, just leave it at 20. Okay? All right. So let's take a look at this one right here. It says b squared is equal to -9. So now we're dealing with imaginaries now. So it's going to be b is equal to plus or minus square root of -9, right? Say yes.
Yes.
Okay, so it's plus and minus square root of -9. But we treat this, even though it is imaginary, what's the square root of 9? 3. But the negative in front of it, it's going to look like this. It's going to be plus or minus 3 square root of -1. Okay, you just leave the negative in there. Leave the negative in there. Because when we come over to here, the square root of -1 is equal to I. The imaginary number I. It's an I with the little tail on it. It's I. So now, doing this one, it's going to be plus or minus 3I for an answer. Because square root of -1 is an I. We just represented it with I. All right, so let's look at the next one. What would I do now? Rafa, what do I do?
Square root.
Square root?
Yeah.
Square root both sides. So you get C equals,
Plus or minus square root of -5.
but is 5 a perfect square?
No.
No. That's between what two numbers though?
2.5. 2, 3.
2 and 3. Why is it between 2 and 3? The square root of 4 is 2, right? And the square root of 9 is 3, right? So the square root of 5 is between these two, right? So my decimal is supposed to be between 2 and 3. Okay, so now, the only thing I could do for this, since this is just some radical, okay, just some radical, I know on my number line it's supposed to be between 2 and 3, right? Okay, but now, the only thing I'm going to do is take out the I, right? So it's going to equal plus or minus, okay, I square root of 5. It's okay if you put the I afterwards, but a big error that a lot of people make is the I ends up inside the radical by accident. So if you put the I in front of the radical, it makes life a whole lot easier. You will never get it wrong for putting it in front, but you will get it wrong for putting it in the back, especially calculator. All right, so now for this one right here, I'm not going to do this graph. It's pointless because it's all good just going up and down. It doesn't really matter. So we're going to be doing a graph later on here in a minute, and you're going to understand, be like, oh, hey, this is easier. All right, write these imaginary numbers using the number I. So treat it like a regular square root. Square root of 36? 6, but there's the negative, so it's going to be 6i.
Oh, so if it's negative, you put the I?
Yeah, negative inside the radical. Remember all the time when I kept saying it does not exist? Okay, that's the reason. Because it doesn't exist, it is an imaginary. So, it's going to be imaginary. So let's look. I want to show you the graph that I did at the very front. Does this one right here cross my blue line? No. The only solution I have for this crossing is if I imagine it. It is an imaginary place where it crosses. Right, Rafa? Okay. Because it doesn't cross. It would be imaginary to solve for it. Right here. On this one right here. Let's see. Is 10, is square root of 10, is that a perfect square? No. So what am I going to do?
Plus or minus?
No. That's only when I have an x squared. It's going to be I square root of 10, right? The only thing that you could take out is the I. Square root of 10 is not a perfect square, is it? So you just leave it alone. But if I were to graph this on a number line, I know this is going to be between what two numbers?
3 and 4.
3 and 4. Because square root of 9 is 3, right? And square root of 16 is 4. Square root of 10 is between these two numbers. All right, what about this thing, number 3? Number 3. So there's a negative out front. But now, square root of 100. 10. That's going to be 10. And now what do I do with that? The minus sign makes it a what? I. So it's 10i. But there's a negative in front of the radical. So my answer is negative 10i. Yeah. I thought someone else...
I don't have to go to one.
No, someone else was
I
next.
was next, but I don't have to go to one.
Okay, yeah.
I'm still confused with the right side.
This one?
Yeah.
Okay, so now see that negative right there? Okay, so this negative, just like this negative right here, this negative right here is an I. So when it comes out, it's I. But square root of 36 is just 6. Okay? But now on this one, square root of 10, it's not a perfect square. A perfect square would be 9, square root of 9, or square root of 16. It's in between these two numbers, so I just leave it as a radical. So the only thing I do is, if you notice, the negative is not inside anymore. So that comes outside and becomes an I. It still represents the same thing. It still says that this is square root of negative 1. Is that a little bit better? Okay. So we had square root of 100, which is 10. This makes it I. And there was a negative in front of that, so that makes it negative 10i. All right, this one right here. Is 17 a perfect square? Nope. It's not a perfect square. What is that between?
4 and 5.
4 and 5. Yep, 4 and 5. So, it's going to be between 4 and 5. But now, what am I going to have? The only thing I could take out is the I. So, my answer should be negative, because there's a negative in front of the radical, I square root of 17.
I'm still confused.
It's confusing?
The I.
The I?
I is this, is that,
It's just the negative inside.
That's just like the placement.
Oh, yeah, just put it in front of the radical. It makes it easier. So you could go afterwards, but just put it in front. It makes life easier. All right, let's take a look at the next page. All right, we are going to do this with this one right here. Bam, don't worry about that. Because it's, yeah, we just make stuff up. Don't worry about it. This is important. Again, this is my real. This is the real axis, and this is the imaginary axis. So I'm going to just put an I right here for imaginary. Now, when we read it like this, it is the real plus or minus my imaginary. So it tells me my direction. So my real direction is 2. Okay? It's 2 to the right. That's my real. So 2 to the right. And my imaginary is up 1. Because it's 1i. It's positive 1i. Pen smeared. All right, let's see if we can do this one right here. What complex number is represented by point A? So A, in the real direction, which way does it go? Left or right? Left. How much does it go left? -4. So it's -4. Now, is it going up or down? Up. So it's going to be positive, right? How much positive?
3.
Positive 3. So it would be plus 3. It's imaginary direction, right? I.
That's it?
Yeah. That's for this one right here. Not bad, right? Okay, so now let's do the rest of these.
Is there
So,
gonna be a problem like that?
huh?
Is there gonna be a problem like that?
Yeah. You're going to have a bunch of them. All right, let's look. We're looking at these ones down here now. Real direction. Which way do I go? Left. Going left 2, and I'm going down 1. Left 2, down 1. So right here, left 2, down 1, and I'm going to put a little a next to that. What about the second one?
to the left, to -6, and then up 3.
Hold on 1 second. Karen? At least pretend like you're trying. Come on.
Okay, 1 second. I'll put it back.
All right, so on B, we go which way? Left 6 and very good. Left 6, up 3. 1, 2, 3. And I'm going to put a little b there. All right, for this one here, I go right 5 and very good. Right 5 and up 4. I'm going to put little c there, right? My last one. Right 1 and yep, right 1 down 3. Right 1, 1, 2, 3. And I'm going to put the letter D. There we go. Is that super easy? Okay, you know, yeah, I kind of skipped the other one because it really didn't matter. Now, the whole point of the one that we skipped right here is this right here. So if I have 0 plus 2i, where does that go? Okay, it doesn't go left or right, does it? It just goes up 2. And this is the same as saying, okay, this would be the same as saying it just 2i. So the imaginary part is up 2. The real part is 0. So even though it doesn't show a 0 here, you know that it's actually going left and right 0. So it goes straight up. Yes?
If I had a negative in front of the 2, it would go down, right?
Yeah, it would go down like that. Yeah, that would go down. Okay, so now what about if I had something that just goes like this? Let's go 4 plus 0i. Go to the right 4 and just keep it there, right? Wouldn't that be the same as saying just 4?
Yeah.
So the real direction, and there is no imaginary direction. So that means to only write 4. Make sense? Okay. Guess what? That leads us to the back. Don't forget, like, share, and subscribe. Hit that notification button. And, okay, purchase our merchandise in the store. Follow the links below.